Okay, Hannah, I think it's time to begin. You can stop the slides and we can, good. Hi. My name is Raya Hawks and I'm the president of Saori Arts NYC. Thank you so much for attending. We're so excited. This is our first event. I'd also like to thank you for all the donations that you've already made. They're greatly appreciated, and whatever donations we get will go to support our programs. First, some Zoom information. Your microphone, as you know, is muted throughout the workshop. This event is being recorded, and there will be a closed caption recording if you'd like to request it in a day or two. Please use the Q&A function or the chat at any time. We have Brandy Gotzel and Jane Bloom on the tech crew who will respond to you and let us know when there's a question we should answer. At the end, we will unmute you and ask you to join with your video to share your weaving if you like, or just to say hi. You don't need to feel compelled to finish your weaving because this is a seminar that's supposed to teach you not only how to circle weave, some may already know that, but also some of the cool projects you can make. That's really fun. Another exciting part of our program is a raffle. Pearl Soho has donated a Learn to Knit kit. There will be a choice of colors. We will pick the winner when the program's over, and then we will email the winner, and you'll also see it on Instagram. So thank you, Pearl Soho, for your generous donation of the Learning to Knit raffle, but also for your incredibly wonderful donation of over 45 skeins of beautiful cashmere yarn that we're currently in the process of rolling into balls for some of our programs. Again, thank you for joining this virtual event. Just so you know, the purpose of this event to review is to introduce you to Saori Arts NYC and to let you experience the joy of Saori weaving firsthand, and also important to learn about our organizations and the work that we do. Okay, come on, join us, Hannah and Maureen. Okay, hello. Good to see you. And Maureen?
Yeah,
I'm spotlighting you guys. Sorry about the tech moment.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Hannah. I'm an artist and an advisor to Saori Arts NYC.
Hi, and I'm Maureen Packard. I'm a board member and treasurer of Saori Arts NYC. So we're really happy that so many of you are joining us today. As Raya said, the purpose of this webinar is to introduce you to Saori Arts and to guide you in circle weaving. We're a nonprofit organization that offers programs to people with disabilities and chronic illnesses so they may discover the joy and satisfaction of creating through freestyle weaving. We were founded in 2015 and modeled on a Saori program in Japan that works with weavers of all abilities. Saori weaving technique was developed by Misao Jo in Japan in 1969. It emphasizes and prioritizes creativity and free expression. Weaving on a Saori standing loom is very simple so that the weaver, child and adult, can learn the mechanical steps in just a few minutes. That way they can focus on colors, patterns, and designs that reflect their own individuality and sensibilities. This makes hand weaving accessible to individuals of all ages, previous experience, and physical and intellectual capabilities. Hannah's going to tell us a little bit more about Saori.
So Saori, according to Saori philosophy, we all have an inherent sense of beauty, and we all have an inner creativity that's expressed freely through weaving. So we don't want to try to follow rules. It's just a freestyle form of expression. In Saori, there are no mistakes. Anything that's perceived to be a mistake or an imperfection is actually a site of beauty in the work of art. This is part of your expression of your originality. And the last aspect of Saori philosophy that I want to share with you is that the first principle of Saori is to consider the difference between people and machines. And we always want to behave like people. We don't want to make things the way machines make them. So I hope that in this workshop and moving forward, you'll keep that in mind. Try to weave like a person.
Great, thank you. From 2016 until March this year, when in-person programming was precluded by the COVID pandemic, we used our standalone looms to weave with children in an outpatient hematology oncology program at Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital. And we participated in a week-long Sister Pat's Kids Camp for those patients and provided intermittent weaving programs for Extreme Kids and Crew, Yahad, among other organizations. The profound changes from the pandemic forced us to devise new ways to reach our target population. Since we couldn't provide in-person weaving, we envisioned circle weaving as a way to engage virtually with groups using simple materials, but embracing the Saori philosophy that anybody can weave and express their ideas and creativity. We made videos on circle weaving that are freely available on our website. We developed circle weaving kits consisting of paper plates and balls of different colored yarns and printed instruction. In the past 6 months, we've distributed more than 200 kits to 12 programs. We've also run virtual workshops with 5 programs and hope to reach out to more organizations in the coming months. You can learn more about us on our website, get more information about our partners, and if you know of a group that might be interested in working with us, please let us know. I'm now going to share with you the basic steps of circle weaving. In keeping with the Saori philosophy, realize there are many different ways to weave, not just one. And you should feel free to embellish, change, add, modify what I tell you. Again, use the Q&A to ask questions if you need me to repeat a step or to make any comments.
You can also talk in the chat. Sorry, Maureen.
And you can also talk in the chat. So circle weaving, as it sounds, is based on a circular loom that holds the warp threads stationary and in tension in a radial pattern, like spokes of a wheel. The weft, what we weave with in and out of the warp, is woven in a spiral pattern. So if you're going to be working with me today, you're going to need something circular to weave on. You can use a piece of cardboard, you can use a plastic lid, you can use a ring. We've had people who've done circle weavings on hula hoops even, but I'm going to use a paper plate. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make an odd number of marks around the rim of the plate. It's an odd number because
it just works better with the structure, because when you go around in the cycle, you'll be in a different place. So the warp threads lock in. Once you do it, it'll make sense.
Right. So as you weave around, each successive circle of weft interlocks with each warp thread in a different way, and it holds it in place. Then you're going to take your scissors and cut about 1/2 inch through each of these. Doing this, I just wanted to show you it, to tell you it doesn't matter how many warp threads you make. The more you have, the tighter your weave will be. So this piece has 11 warp threads. This one has 33. So you
can you hold them side by side?
So you can see that one of them is a much tighter weave than the other. And also realize just as a function of circle weaving that it's tighter in the middle and gets progressively looser as you move out because the warp threads are further apart. It also doesn't matter if you don't do things evenly around your circle. In this particular piece, I purposefully have irregular spacing between the warp threads, and it works fine. So it actually doesn't matter.
And you might choose to experiment with that. Maureen's got some great examples later where she only warped part of it, and you get a very sculptural, not at all circular result, which can be very exciting.
I'll show you those later. Okay, once you have your cuts in place, you're going to take a ball of yarn. How much yarn you use depends, one, on how many warp threads you made and how you are going to, how big your plate is. So I just take a fair amount and know I'm going to cut some off. You're going to hook the loose end through one of the spaces, and I usually tape it in place just because it helps the tension. Now there are 2 ways that you can warp your circle. The first way is the easiest way, and it's just you go across the plate and then bring it around the back to the next notch over, cross it over.
So what you're looking for is that X shape on the front.
Right. That's the most important thing. You need to make sure that these cross in the middle of the, or sort of in the middle. They have to cross each other on the face of the plate and not on the back. They will cross also, but that's not as important. And then you will end up with an odd string. So you want to cut off about several inches of the yarn. The other way you can do this is it starts very similarly. You tape the back, but then after you pull it across, you loop the yarn around to the next cut over. And then again, cross this on the front, bring it around through the neighboring notch, bring it across here, here.
So both methods are fine, and you can also mix them. So if you are using this neighbor method and you find you can't complete it, you can cross over the back, you can mix and match. There are advantages to both.
There are advantages to both. This has loops, so it uses less yarn. And sometimes you can get loops when you take it off the plate if that's what you're going to do. When you're looping it around the back, it actually gives you a lot more yarn to work with when you take it off. You can have a long fringe, or if you're going to tie the edges together. So I'm going to turn this way so it's right up, side up for me. Now what you want to do, this is probably the trickiest part, is you want to pull all the warp threads together. And the way you do this is you put this across the plate and just bring it back underneath. What you want to do is try to catch all the warp threads. Sometimes I don't catch one, but you're going to pull it sort of in the middle. Again, it's not critical where it is. You're going to sort of hold this now, and then you're going to use this warp thread becomes your weft, and you're going to weave over, under, over, under, over this one, under this one, over that one, under this one.
So you're going around the bicycle spokes. And I just want to make sure everyone in attendance knows that if you need something repeated, please just message us in the chat or the Q&A.
Right, exactly. So this just holds your warp threads together in the middle. And I find it easier just to know where I'm going, since the warp threads are so close, to start it sort of out. You just move it around a couple of times. And then when
so it looks like you might be ready for another piece of yarn.
So you are. So for your weft, there are lots of things you can use. There are many different kinds of yarn. Pearl Soho certainly has great yarns, but there are yarns like this. It's a ribbon yarn. It's very flexible. You have yarn that's fuzzy. You have paper yarn. You have yarn that has different colors, and sometimes that's really nice because you can then get patterns. But realize you're not stuck with just yarn. There are lots of things around your house. You can use plastic bags. You can use bubble wrap. This is mesh from a bag from the grocery store. You can use Kleenex. You can use cotton. You can use strips of fabric. You can use ribbons. You can also take several different colored yarns and weave those. So it's really up to you.
There are lots more materials also. Felt, wire, recycled paper. I can't remember if you mentioned that. We have a question from Debbie. She says she missed how to start winding the yarn, which I think means warping. Do you think maybe after we tie on this yarn, we can go back to one of the warping methods?
Sure, that's not a problem. Does she mean right from the very beginning, or from trying to get it together in the middle?
She didn't mention, but Debbie, I hope you'll follow up and let us know if you need it from the very beginning.
So what you can do, you can tie the two ends together. I'm using an overhand knot, but you can use a square knot. Trying to use an overhand knot.
Sometimes they're easier if you have a bit more length.
Yeah.
Someone said we're going a little fast, so we can slow down. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Okay, Debbie has the spokes. So I think it's going around and around. So maybe I can just describe it, or actually Maureen will show you on this second plate how to bring them all together to the middle.
Right. So what you're going to do, you're going to take the loose thread and bring it across, and just, you want to try to catch all of the warp threads. And sometimes there will be one that will be an outlier, and I'll have to loop it around again to sort of capture it. Okay? You want to get this sort of in the middle, but it doesn't have to be in the middle. And once you have it there, you can hold on to this for the moment, and then you're going to start weaving around in a circle. So you're going to weave around the spokes. So you're going to go over this spoke and under this one, over this one, under this one. And then you can pull it tight. So I went under this one, I'll go over this one, under this one. So you're just alternating, going over, under. One person described it as skipping, but so over this one, under this one, over this one, under this one. So that you have the warp sort of pull together in the center. So
that looks great. Debbie just said, okay. So I think, hopefully everyone's good on that, but we can definitely go back.
I have another plate in case somebody else wants to see it again. Not a problem, I'm prepared. So once you've tied your new yarn on, how much yarn you use sort of depends on how many circles you want to do. I usually do at least 12 inches, sometimes 24 inches. It just is easier if you have a slightly smaller amount. And then I wrap the yarn around my fingers just so it's easier to handle. But so then you start going over, under. So this is under this spoke. So I'll go over this one, under this one.
I'm sure you can all already tell that Maureen's personality is coming through in the sweeping, that she is an orderly weaver. But I want to encourage you that you can ignore the pattern. You don't need to go 1, 2, 1, 2. You can go under 2, over 1, under 3, over 4. Anything goes, and you can experiment. You can turn around, so you don't have to keep going in the same direction. Maureen's going to tell you that you can trim those tails from the knot, but you can also leave them. You don't have to pull very tight.
No, and you can leave them up, and some people like Hannah like the texture of that. Since I'm neat and orderly, I tuck it underneath. But she's right; it doesn't actually matter. And sometimes when I'm doing this, I will mess up. And you don't mess up.
Express yourself freely.
I ruined the pattern that I was making that to my sensibilities, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I could go back, but I could also just keep going, and I can go over a couple of them and get back in sync. I want to show you this one again. Not only did I make an irregular warp, but when I was weaving the blue around here, I purposefully wove as erratically as I could, over 1, under 2, 3. So, but it still comes out looking about the same. And so, but Hannah's right, because you don't have to keep going in the same direction. Again, I'm orderly, so I tend to go around clockwise, but you can go counterclockwise. You can stop.
You can only weave part of it, and that way you can get sort of multicolored areas that contrast.
So you can, and when you turn around, you just loop around one and head back in the other direction. You can also, use some of the other materials, but let me just show you one other thing, which is, tap into my, sorry.
Are we going to talk about tools?
I was going to talk about tools, but I lost my little
Oh, well, I'll chatter while you look for it. So some people find that it's easier, especially if you're working smaller, to use a tapestry needle, or sometimes they're sold as yarn darners. And if you don't happen to have a tapestry needle, you can also loop some thread through like a safety pin or a paper clip and use that as a tool to go over, under, if you find it easier to hold something rather than just bunching the yarn.
So especially if you're working on cardboard, the plates are nice because there's a little space. So when you're weaving, you have space for your fingers. When I'm doing something small like this, I definitely need a tapestry needle to do the over under. But as Hannah was saying, you don't have to have a tapestry needle because you can just take a paper clip and just loop the yarn through it, and then use this as a tool to weave over under. And some people find this much easier to do, and then you just pull it through. So, and a safety pin is very similar. You could try to tie it onto the safety pin, but I think if you just looped it through. Tapestry needles are great for people like me whose eyesight isn't so great these days. So it makes the holes in them are very big. So I want to point out to you on this particular weaving, the clear plastic that you see is bubble wrap.
Oh, can you hold that a little closer? It looks great.
Is that good?
I hope everyone can see that.
You see it's bubble wrap, and I have some material. And then in the middle where the red is, it's the fuzzy mesh bag.
Yeah, those look great. So I want to tell you all that, you know, some people find, even with a tool or without a tool, that the motion of circle weaving is not easy for their hands. So in some of our programs, we work with a facilitator relationship so that one person will be weaving through another person. So you might find you would like to have this kind of relationship with someone in your life, a friend or a family member who might need a little help circle weaving. And so the key is just to give them a lot of choices and open-ended questions so that they can change the pattern, they can change color freely so that they can express themselves through the weaving.
Right.
So really that's one way to make it accessible to anyone, no matter your fine motor skills or patience, frankly.
That's right. So you can tie things on, but you can also just sort of leave things underneath and just start something new. So I'm going to start a piece of fabric here, and I'm just going to sort of let it dangle. When we finish, if you're taking it off the plate, you can trim those edges, the ends. So we're just going.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
Maureen's twisting it because she really wants to get the texture of the fabric.
Yeah, I want the color. Not that it matters because you may not be able to see it in the end, but
We can see it.
yeah. And again, I can just tuck that end underneath.
So there are all kinds of materials that you can incorporate. I don't think we've mentioned yet, but you can also thread beads onto the fabric or the yarn. And that's another way to add dimension and mixed materials into your weaving.
To add what? I'm sorry.
Beads.
Beads. Ah, yes. So I just happen to have a demo here. So not having any beads, I just cut up some plastic straws into beads.
Oh, I think you lost a bit of straw.
No,
oh, you're good.
I'm good. There's also one already on here, but so you can just slide it on. It's easier if you have for this a tapestry needle, and this is just a plastic one that I got at Michael's, you know, for a pence. And you can position it where you want. Here, I'm going to go over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2. So if you have other beads, you know, really pretty ones, you can use that.
I like your straws. They're transformed.
Right. Trying to keep them out of the ocean.
Are we ready to discuss finishing methods, or do we have more weaving demos? And do we have any weaving questions? Feel free to send them in.
I just want to show one more thing, which is weaving with a ribbon. Again, it gives you sort of a sculptural feel because you get the sort of a three-dimensional.
Yeah, the satin finish really accentuates the texture because you can really see the shadows and the shine.
Mm-hmm. So again, it's very flexible. There are all sorts of things you can do. You can also add on once you've finished a weaving if you wanted to. Oops, added on strips of some pink yarns. And to do this, it's very easy. You just make a loop, slip it under, slip the ends through the loop.
So you can really bulk out your fringe.
Right. I did this for you, Hannah.
I really appreciate it.
And you can do the same with little bits of fabric. You can just make a loop, slip it under, and then slip it through. So,
yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah. So first off, realize that you actually don't have to take things off the plate if you don't want. Sometimes you have something that looks really nice and you just want to put it on your wall. So this is one, here's another one that was done with the nice ribbon yarn. Sometimes you can warp, as we said, part of the plate. And Marcia, who's on our board, did this one, and then put some little beads, buttons at the bottom of this to hang down. Do something really weird, like my Mrs. Pac-Man. You can do, again, you don't have to weave all the way around. You can start weaving into sort of quadrants of the circle. And this one, I did a sort of a bow tie.
Oh, it's so
Figured
festive
out yet
and
how
fun.
I'm going to take it off, but that'll happen. Or you can even do a spider web for Halloween.
So you can leave it on the plate, and some of them, you know, you might want to choose a piece of cardboard, cardstock, or a plate with a pattern where that becomes part of the composition, so the colors inform each other. We have a question that I want to just jump back to from a couple minutes ago. Are all yarn changes cut off, and what size end to leave? So that's entirely up to you. You can snip them very close to the knot. If you want to snip them very, very close, I recommend you do it after you take it off the loom or the plate, or after it's finished if you're leaving it on, just in case it decides to come unraveled. And you also don't have to snip them at all. They can be fun fringe on the front, or you can tuck them to the back. Sometimes when you take it off the plate and you see all your fringes on the back, you might decide you like that better. So I hope that answers your question.
So here's one that I've taken off a plate, but you can see on the back the pieces where I've tied things on. And as Hannah said, if you don't like that look, you just trim them.
We're also going to show you a bunch of finishing methods where the back is sealed in some way. So you may not need to finish the back beyond just sealing them. So maybe we should cycle back to how you get it off the plate.
Yeah, so first I'm going to show you the looping method. So this, you can just, you don't have to cut anything. You can just take it off.
You get these great petal-like loops, which can be a fun design element. I think Maureen's going to show you a great way to make a basket from them.
Right.
And then one of the advantages of taking it off the plate, no matter what method you use, is you can reuse the plate to make more circle weavings.
Right. You have a ready-made loom, and realize you don't have to use all the cuts you made. You can do whatever you want. So as Hannah said, you get these nice loops, and sometimes it's a really nice thing. So I made this card. It's on cardstock from Staples, and I
love this card so much.
glued this down and glued each of the little loops down. So that's one project that you can do.
Definitely a great thing with the holidays coming up, and you know,
Yeah,
everyone communicating more by mail.
So one way you can, if you have these loops, and I find that all of the circle weavings tend to sort of curve in a little bit. It's just because you have a lot of tension is on the edge as you get closer to the edges. If you weave all the way out to the edge, and there's nothing to say that you couldn't just weave a little tiny thing. I mean, that's fine. You're done when you're done, when you decide you're done. But in this, what you can do is you can take two loops and loop one loop through the other.
Maureen didn't mention, but she's starting right next to that odd warp thread that's not a loop.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter, but it's easiest if you work from next to that all the way around.
All the way around. So, and I'm just pulling this a little bit tight. So the next one over goes through. So you're just linking them, and it gives it sort of a nice finish along the top of your weaving.
And by pulling it kind of tight, you can already see she's starting to get some dimension and depth. And this will create the walls of a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of mirrors like the top of a basket finish.
Right.
Which is a different type of weaving. But, you know, similar to circle weaving often.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can see that. And then with this last one, I just loop it through the last, and then I can pull this around. So, and then with my tapestry needle, I can pull this through. And then I'm just going to weave this in and out along the top a little bit, just to get it to stay in place. Okay.
That looks great.
And then I will just cut this loop off on me. And
now you've got a bowl. And I think you have some treasures to put in the bowl.
I have some tiny treasures to put in my bowl. I have my swan and I have my giraffe. All sorts of
And now
things.
they have a nest.
And now they have a nest. Okay, so if you have warped your bowl so that all of the strings are on the back, you can just cut them.
If you warped it with the looping method, you can also just cut them. You don't have to keep the loops. And if you did a mix, totally fine.
Totally fine, exactly. And here it's, this one is probably not too bad, but I will just unleash two at a time because it makes it a little neater.
You might be wondering what to do with your last end of your weft. You can either tie that into your fringe, you can sort of tuck it into itself, you can leave it loose, and the knots that Maureen's tying now all the way, where she's tying two warp threads together, will hold your weft in.
Yes, thank you, Hannah.
Yes. Oh, someone says fun, which I'm so glad you feel that way. We hope you're having fun. So you can also do lots of fun things with the fringes. We'll show you some methods to finish it without leaving this fringe, but you may also want to play it up. Maureen showed us before a way to add bulk by looping in some extra materials. You could also add extra threads so that you can make a braid or an even bigger tassel. You know, you might want to weave feathers into the fringe, whatever you like. Beads.
Whatever moves you. Okay. And then, as Hannah said, you have the plate that you can then reuse.
Yes.
So, and on the back of this one, you can see I have where I just tuck things in. So what can you do with this? So if you didn't want, it depends on what you want to do with it. If you want to make a hanging, you know, you can just hold it by one of the threads. It's kind of hard to do this since I'm doing my screen. So
you have an overhead, so when you hang it, it's hidden.
You're hanging it on my hand, but you can see it's sort of like a jellyfish with all the stuff hanging down.
It's beautiful. It'd make a great Christmas tree ornament.
But one thing you can do is you can put a backing on. So, and for backings, you can glue on fabric. You can glue on tissue paper. You can, if you want to make a coaster or a table, you know, something for your table, you can just buy shelf lining and glue that on.
Maureen, what glue do you like to use?
I often use Elmer's glue. But also there's something called tacky glue that a lot of fabric artists use.
Excellent.
So, and there's also something called iron-on interfacing. Sewers know this. It's something that has a glue on one side that is heat sensitive, and then you just put the glue side down on your weaving and iron it on, making sure that you don't have anything that's going to melt on the other side.
Yeah, you might need to turn your iron down. So if you're buying this new and you're unfamiliar, it might be sold as fusible interfacing, and you'll want to look for fusible interfacing that's only one side with glue.
Right.
Unless you want to glue it onto something else, in which case get the kind with two sides with glue.
Right. So on this one, I had used the interfacing, and I just sewed a safety pin on so that I could use it as a pin. Here's an example of one that I just had an old bandana and used part of that. So I could use this as a coaster.
And you'll see the edges are really clean because Maureen's tucking in all the fringe.
I'm very careful about
that. Glues on whatever it is, whether it's interfacing or fabric or tissue paper. So if you want that clean edge, you just hide it all in between the layers.
Exactly. So this is something that's a piece that I made with that nice ribbon type yarn. And here I just pulled all the edges together and put in a hair piece. So I could use this in my hair, or I wanted to, I could put it on my bracelet. If I can get it to click, and have a nice corsage. Just like the old-fashioned days when I...
It's beautiful. It's like a flower, but, you know...
You can make bigger flowers.
Soft.
Yes. So there are, you know, all sorts of things you can do once you have the circle weavings. And they're just fun. I'm going to stop my screen share for a moment because I want to show you some other things that are a little bit bigger. This is another piece that I did that's the sister of this one. Also just looped
Soon
on.
you'll be covered in purple flowers. So Maureen, it's about 6:10 now. Just a heads up on timing.
Right. I just have three things to show.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for everyone to see this.
So you can also sew these on. So I made this pillow and sewed that on.
And when you're sewing it, you can either hand sew it with something like a whip stitch, or you can machine sew it, but we do recommend you back the weaving with something like interfacing or fabric.
Right. And so that's what I've done with this. Let's see this bag. You can see I have a series of circle weavings I did while I was waiting for my grandson to decide to come into the world. And you can just, oops, it's backed, so I can just sew it on. But the backing really makes a difference. With the pillow, this one was big enough that I actually glued the back, put glue on the back of it just to hold it all together before I put the interfacing on the back of it. And you can also do even bigger things, you know, you can, if you wanted to do it on a ring, you can make it.
So instead of cutting notches, obviously, into your ring, you might need to tape the warp at the beginning so it doesn't slide around.
Right, exactly. But I think you have a couple of things to show us too, Hannah.
I do. So I have this magnet to show you. It's got all kinds of recycled materials in it. It's got some produce bag. It's got a plastic bread bag. There's a bean can wrapper. I don't know if you can see the Goya label. There's some fabric, and it's all done on an old yogurt lid, and to which I just taped some magnets on. So this one is an example of something where you don't even need to take it off the loom. I have this weaving. That's two weavings that I made the same size and sewed them just to each other, and then looped them onto my keys. So they're a keychain. You could also make, I don't know, a hood ornament or a bag ornament. And I think Raya is going to come in and show us some jewelry or some earrings.
Some earrings, yeah.
Yes, earrings, the earring queen. So you may or may not have noticed in the beginning that I have two different earrings on, which happens when you lose one. So this is sort of the bohemian look that I prefer and like a lot. So this is my bohemian earring, which I'll show you separately off. So, and,
Oh, that one's beautiful.
and
Oh, lovely.
here I've put in a stud so that I can loop it in the back of my ear. So that's how I would connect this one, is through a stud. It just happens to match perfectly. Maybe wondering what this little thing is. I started, I made, this is what it looks like when, you know, Hannah said you could use any size plate and stop when you wanted. So this is when I stopped, and I cut it off, and I was going to be perfectly round, but that was impossible for me. So I did these little, when I glued it in the back, I sort of had some of these fuzzy things hanging out, which I really like. And also this is one of my favorite in the end of this ribbon yarn.
It looks great on the plate too. It matches the design.
Yeah.
Then I have, let's see, yeah.
I think you're going to show us findings.
Oh, findings. Yeah, I was going to tell you findings in a minute. So I'm going to show this. Well, this is one example of a finding. So when you make earrings, these little connecting pieces are findings. And this is a spiral that can go through your ear. And I used another connecting bar so I could connect the one weaving that I didn't cut or warp in, so I could connect it here and connect it there. And then the other thing I did with this, just for fun, was I put in another earring that I lost the other half of. So you can see that it's a cat. So I've added a decoration. This cat is crawling up my earring.
That's beautiful.
That's great. What a wonderful idea. Yes.
And then this one, I think October is breast cancer month. So I have this, I use anything for a stud or an earring. So this was just a pin that you're supposed to put on your lapel, and I can put it in here and then make this a stud instead of a dangly one, and hook it in the back. So I just started adding things to these right before the show. Then I have, for more findings, I have the flat back piece. So this is the flat back that I pasted or glued on, and I used actually super glue for that. I used a fabric glue for the front. So since it's Halloween, I was into it too. So I did a teeny weeny weaving and then it was black and orange. And then I sort of pulled these orange pieces out and gave it a bit more texture.
So Raya, I'm going to cut you off with your earrings because it's about 6:15, and
good
I think
move.
that
I do need to be sort of warned. Thank you.
and we definitely want to invite you all to join us and show us what you've made if you want to. So I think that Brandy and Jane will be switching you to be panelists, and you'll have to enable your video and sound, and then you can come show us what you've made, which we'd love to see.
Or ask us questions.
Yes.
Or make comments.
You've gotten lots of compliments, Maureen and Raya. Someone said that they love your necklace.
Okay, great.
Lovely, meditative, and inspiring.
Wow.
Which is great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Amy.
Hey, Amy.
You need to unmute yourself.
Cat jewelry is the best idea. I was just thinking of all the different cat jewelry things I want to do.
Thank you. Would anyone like to share their weaving with us?
Oh, Alice, can you unmute?
Can you unmute Alice?
Yes, just a PSA. You have to unmute yourself as well.
Yeah.
I'm
Wonderful.
I'm using some, of course, I'm a seamstress, so I used all this fabric and I cut it into messy strips, and this is some
Great.
really nice silk velvet that I
Ooh.
just love.
It's gorgeous.
But it's made a real mess when I'm trying to. Anyway,
That's
so I'm
great.
Alice from Arkansas, and this has been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to teaching this to my friends.
Thanks,
Excellent.
Alice.
Oh, that's
Yes,
wonderful.
please share.
I will.
Oh, who's over here? Adrian, can you unmute? Who's with you, Adrian?
Oh, Nina. Look at you.
Hello.
What did you make?
Hello, Gigi, and hello, everyone.
Okay.
I made a weaving.
She worked very hard on it, and a few months ago she was weaving and lasted 5 minutes, but this time
Wow.
she stayed on for the entire class.
Because I want to win.
Everyone wins with Saori weaving. Would anyone else like to share their weaving with us?
Hey, Gloria.
Hey Maureen, how you doing, sis?
Yes. Wonderful. Oh, beautiful. I love the colors. That's great.
Oh, Debbie, yours looks great too. I love the colors with the plate that you have.
Well, I only picked the plate because that's all I had, but I do want to make it a Christmas.
That's beautiful.
Thing,
Yeah, great.
Looks like a rose in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Mary, you held up one?
There's mine.
Oh,
Wow.
that's great.
I
Have you
That's
done
the
this
plate,
before?
I guess.
Anyone else?
Hi.
Big Bird.
Christine, hi.
Hi. Big Bird, say hi.
I love, is that ribbon, Christine?
Hi. Yes. See it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, Big,
Wait, and here's my mom. It's a mother-daughter evening.
oh,
Oh, wonderful.
Hold on, she's working on it. Oh, wait.
Oh, a little bit to the side.
oh, that's gorgeous.
Fantastic.
Using some tulle and yarn in different sizes. So we're getting there. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming.
I think
Thank you
Big
for
Bird
coming.
can show his. Big Bird, can you show yours? Or Liz? And unmute.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
They're muted, but that's fabulous.
Ooh.
Let me see Big Bird. Oh, I gotta see it.
The sun and a bee.
Oh, really? Oh, wait. I gotta see.
See, it's expression, abstract expression. The sun and the bee. And
It's gonna be okay. Wonderful.
underneath
That's
there's something.
fantastic.
There
I
it
love the
Looks
wrapping
like a flower
around.
for the bee to
Oh, Liz.
And airborne.
Oh, he's so cute, Maureen. He's so
Very
cute.
good.
Thank you.
So you probably couldn't see in my picture, but I used yarn to start with, then ribbon, then raffia, then actually curling ribbon, shiny curling ribbon, and then strips of fabric. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
there's
We
lots
forgot
of
to
things you
mention
can do.
raffia.
This fluffy stuff worked well.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
super fun.
it
I
kind
want
of,
some of
it
that.
stuck up a little bit and below, but the above part shows now, but if the back showed, it would show on the back too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes.
Quinn wanted to show off his spider web for Halloween.
Oh,
We were going to put this on our door. We didn't get a chance to
Cool.
put a spider hanging from it. We're thinking about
yeah.
that.
That
I
looks
love the loops.
awesome.
The loops
Also, hi,
are
Cohen. We have a request in the chat. Debbie, would you mind sharing your weaving with us again? Someone wants to see it again. It's so beautiful. Is there anyone else who hasn't shared yet?
It's very good. I like that.
Oh yeah, now you're nice and big.
I haven't shared yet. Hi. My name is
Hi.
but I'm just kind of getting started. So it's I
I
just
like
started
the
with some
square.
brown yarn, and now I'm adding some white, and then I pulled out a bunch of different ribbons that I'm going to try to incorporate afterwards.
It looks so good on the square frame.
Yeah, the square is great.
It was nice
Do you
and
think you're
small.
going to leave it on the square?
I don't know. I guess I'll see how it goes.
That's the way to do it.
And I have to just keep my cats from the ribbon and yarn. So it's slow going. But I was watching a lot of the time too. So thank you. This is so much fun.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
For joining us. Yes.
Hello, I'm Chandana. I didn't have a plate,
Oh,
but I made notes. I was making notes. And I'll go back and do it, and
yeah.
You'll also receive a recording.
Oh,
Everyone
great.
will
Oh,
get
good.
a recording.
Yes, please.
And you don't need to request it. We're going to send it to everyone. Don't worry.
I know. I was a bit concerned about that. Yeah, I've got lots of yarn, but I didn't have the plate. But I love Gail's square plate.
Yes.
That's a very innovative idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're left over from my daughter's bat mitzvah.
Mazel tov.
It was,
Exactly.
she's now,
Recycle.
she's 17, so 4 years ago, we still have plates.
And Maureen,
Yes, Chandana.
you said that you used those mesh bags that fruit come in. You know, the fruit.
Right. You know, the kind of.
That is fascinating. I want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's actually very interesting. And it's nice because you can,
Stretchy.
it actually is a little bit transparent. I don't know if you can see.
Yes. Yeah.
You can actually see through it. So if
Yeah.
you're hanging it.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. I'm going to try that. Yeah.
You're going to need to buy a lot of onions. Maybe
Or whatever.
Does anyone else, has everyone shared who wants to share?
Well, I came in.
Oh, I think multiple people talked at once. Try again.
I came in late, but I do have my string ready.
Oh yeah, you've got a stash.
I started late, but I didn't have a paper plate, but I cut a circle, so I have to start from there.
Oh, we forgot to mention, but please share your work with us on social media, on Instagram or Facebook if you'd like. We'd love to see it. So Amelia, when you get to it, please send it to us.
How the beginning goes.
And Hannah, I just wanted, am I talking?
Yes.
I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed the sustainability magnet you made. I think that was wonderful, and I love that it was all made of recycled things.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what else you all make with recycled material. It sounds like a lot of people have things around their house they're using, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Karen, did you want to show us?
Yeah, I wanted to share. I think my cat enjoyed this more than I did even. I've been fighting the whole time. I'm here.
That's wonderful.
What is the golden stuff?
The golden is ribbon that has words on it in gold.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Very neat.
Beautiful. Does anyone else want to share?
What do the words say, Karen?
The words say beads of paradise.
Oh, I know Beads of Paradise. They're fabulous on 17th Street.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they're gorgeous.
I can't stop. I'm going and going. I can't. It's meditative. I can't stop.
I agree.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
Raya, I think I cut you off earlier, but it's about 6:27. So do you want to do your end of show spiel? We'll stick around, but
Sure. So I want to thank Pearl Soho for their support. A big thanks to Brandy Gotzel, one of the co-founders of Saori Arts NYC, and to Jane Bloom, a board member, for their tech support. I'd like to thank Marcia Hublin. I'm going to blow it. Hubenow. I'm really sorry, but I can't find my phonetics thing. Thanks, Marcia, a board member, and Adrian Sharp, who's our student intern, for their ongoing support behind the scenes. And last but not least, to our board members, Maureen Packard,
Yay!
Hannah,
Yay!
for their wonderful presentation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I hope you've all been inspired by this webinar.
This is mine.
And that you want to learn more about our programs.
No, you have to.
Please reach out to us with any questions at any time about our programs.
I got it.
Or contact us. Oh, I have to just fix this. Okay, contact us at any time. Stay in touch. We're available on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, email. I've got one more to.
Facebook and of course what? Can you repeat?
Instagram. And I think that the usernames are in the chat from Brandy.
And you can email Maureen at Saori Arts NYC if you like. She's an email contact.org, and you know her.
Got it.
Comfortable to email. We hope you will keep on weaving. This ends the formal portion of our event. We'll stay on for those who still may have further questions, and we'll say goodbye now to those who are leaving. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nice to see you, Chanda.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye. Thanks, Maureen.
Thanks for coming, Gloria. Love you.
Love you too.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Gigi. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Lena.
Bye.
Thank you. This has been so much fun.
I'm so glad. Thanks for
Alex.
coming.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. It was great fun.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I think you're muted, Joy.
Thank you so much. It was great fun.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Your weaving looks great.
So far.
I'm sure it'll be great when it's finished too.
Hi, Jane. I'll see you soon.
Hi, Gail.
Yeah, love you.
Yeah, I love the weaving on the square plate.
Yeah, I'm adding some weight. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Okay. Thanks so much. It was really fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Brandy, I'm going to stop the recording, okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, me too.
Okay.